Hello everyone, this is Mumbo and welcome back to another episode on the Hermitcraft server. It's episode 35 and today we are starting things off in my little super smelter area. This thing is producing fuel very, very nicely indeed. How much of a backlog do we have? So we have got that's filled, that's filled, that's filled. Pretty much this entire thing is fully filled, which is quite impressive. Anyway, in the previous episode of Hermitcraft, we did some pretty interesting stuff. Of course, we chopped off half of our island, we planned out where all the next builds are going to be going, and also we gathered up a bunch of items for the storage system, we got ourselves a beacon, there was all sorts going on. But now that I've got one beacon, I kind of want to have... well, I kind of want at least one more. I feel like another one would be very handy. Ideally, I'd like two more, just so I can have a temporary beacon. But we've got this spot for a beacon here, and I really want to use it because I think it's a cool spot for the beacon. So I think to start things off in today's Hermitcraft episode, we're actually going to do a bit of a beacon gathering session, if that is actually a thing. Oh, just to quickly clarify, I saw a few comments down in the comment section. I did actually leave my flower when I came to the Wither Skeleton farm last time. This was my flower. This is also my flower from this time. I really like this idea, by the way. It's really cool, but this must have cost a lot. And I mean a lot in pots. These things aren't cheap, you know. Right, let's see if I can get as lucky as I did last time. What? I did get as lucky as I did last time. What the heck? That is so ridiculous. That is so totally ridiculous. Anyway, I imagine the rest of this experience probably isn't going to be quite as lucky, so I think it's time for a bit of a time lapse. So in today's super fast time lapse chat, I want to talk to you about the dynamic and experience of recording a Hermitcraft episode, because, you know, I watch back every single Hermitcraft episode I make just to look for mistakes and also to see if it's an episode that I personally enjoy, and if I don't enjoy it, I try and work out why I'm not enjoying it and try and do things to improve it so that hopefully that doesn't happen again. So I'm constantly trying my best to improve. And something that I've noticed is that some of the episodes that have taken me the longest to record, okay, so some of my longest recording times for Hermitcraft episodes, there will be occasions where I'll watch back the episode and I'll be like, yes, it looks like I've got tons done. And this is great, like, this feels very progress-filled, it feels very jam-packed, this is a really good episode. But there will also be some episodes where I know I have spent ages on it, and then I'll watch it back and I'll be like, I mean, it's a good episode, I like it, but it doesn't feel like as much time has been put in. And I think the reason for that is that in some of these episodes, I'm working on lots of smaller projects. So the way that I record my episodes, I either do one really big thing or I work on lots of little small projects. And the thing is with doing lots of small projects is there's a lot of downtime in between where you're planning things out for these smaller projects. So on a big project, you do one plan, you know the plan, then you just build. Whereas with a smaller project, it's like plan, build, plan, build, plan, build. And you guys don't see the planning, which means that there's a lot of time that is kind of grey area that you don't see. And I don't know what to do about this. I don't think there is any fix to it. And it's just something that I thought I'd share with you because I found it interesting. Anyway, let's get back onto the Hermitcraft server. This still absolutely terrifies me. I'm just scared that one day I'm going to do it slightly wrong and then I'm going to let loose a wither in the end. I think I'm far enough back. Thankfully, this guy is now kind of stuck, and we can just go on it. This seems like a flaw, by the way. I mean, I love the fact that this bug exists, but this definitely feels like something that shouldn't be in the game. Oh, no way, I got one of these ones. Now that's interesting. I got a slightly different witherhead this time. Has this guy escaped from Tango Tech's shop? Oh, no. Is that the mall cop? I feel like that's... Is that like a mall? He's the mall cop. Is that some terrible... I feel like that's some terrible movie from when I was much, much younger. Two things. A, the shopping district is looking amazing. But B, what? The spoiler store has been, I would say, improved. That is spectacular. That looks absolutely brilliant. I don't even know what I really want on my beacon. I mean, originally I chose Jump Boost and Regeneration, but Jump Boost 1 is pretty terrible. So maybe we'll go with Strength or Speed. I guess Speed and Regeneration. I mean, that seems like it would be pretty cool. I can get around nice and quickly. This seems like a good deal. Anyway, enough of that. Let's start work on a project, which is my house. I want to build up my house. We're kind of limited with space because of this structure right here, so it's probably going to be a little bit pancakey, but we've got a cool shape. I have spent a lot longer than you would think designing this thing right here. In typical fashion, I built a bunch of stuff, took it down, built something else, took it down, built something else, took it down, and I've ended up with this kind of looking like a military base. Now, as you can see, there have been some changes made here, so just ignore anything that's kind of behind this point, and also this sheep farm is just lagging my entire area, so we might have to take that down. But yeah, this is kind of like the plan of action here. So you can see that we've got the contrasting colors in, we have a nice shape to it. I quite like the depth. I just think it's quite cool, and my plan for the center is the roof is going to be open, and we're going to have a tree in the middle, because as you guys know, or at least for those of you who have been watching since the start of Hermitcraft Season 6, my first base on the server was a tree house, so I feel like we should pay homage to that by having a tree inside my house. So now it's gone from being a tree house to being a house tree. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Now, I imagine that in terms of resources, we're going to be absolutely fine with concrete. We seem to have tons of that stuff. Ah! Ah! Oh my word! Where did they all come from, and where are my firework rockets? I am dead. I am so dead. Are they able to get me under here? Wow. How on earth has Zombie Cleo killed that many of those things? I've just realised, not only do I not have much quartz, but I also have absolutely no terracotta. I don't think I've used hardened clay at all this season. I don't even know where you get hardened clay from. Where's all this come from? where? Oh, that must be from the Mustache Hall of Fame. The actual structure itself has been completed. We have got ourselves, I'm just realizing, a mini version. It's like the baby brother of Grian's base over there in a way. Oh, there's a spider jockey that's just spawned on there. What are the chances of that? Anyway, yeah, so the actual build itself is now all in place. My little dome that I'm going to be living in. Obviously, we are a tiny bit restricted with height because we have the edge of this thing and we didn't want to be getting too close to it. But I really like the way that it looks. I think it looks super cool, and I'm liking how this city is starting to expand out and grow around our island. It's starting to look really, really cool. That looks great. Alright, the next thing that we have to do. So the only thing that we haven't got in place is we don't have any other quartz in. Now, I'm going to try my best to fill up as much quartz as possible, but then we'll see. We might have to do a bit of a resource gathering mission. Well, that has gone well. So there we go. That is all of the quartz in place. And now we can see this build fully finished in all its glory. And I have to say, yeah, that's improved things massively. Cool, okay, so that is my little home. That's my home setup. So if we just pop on the inside here, now we need to work out what we're actually going to do in terms of the build itself. First things first, we actually need to plant our tree. And is there any way that I can guarantee a big tree? I don't know if there is. And bone meal. Yeah, I thought that was going to need more than that. I think that's how we should do it. I think that's how it's going to work. I have 31 bone blocks on me, so I can probably do this all day, but didn't need to because that has just worked. And you know what? That's a good little tree. That's like a really good little shape. So if we take a look, yes, that's awesome. Now, do I put glass on top or do I just leave it completely open? Oh, I don't know. I really don't know on that one. Now I'm wondering, what should we actually do for the interior of this thing? Because of course this is going to be my house, so I kind of need to do a good job of it. We actually need to work on the interior here. I'm thinking stone slabs for the floor, because what else would I have? I almost want some water around our tree, and then I think we should have a second floor. Whoa. You know, I've just had a thought. So I've placed in all of the stone slabs, and it definitely doesn't feel homely. Okay, that's the first thing. But this is a futuristic area. It does kind of feel futuristic, so we have that going on. But I'm thinking, would it be better if we had the stone slabs going around the edges like this, and then the entire interior of this thing was almost like a little garden, and then we just had a bed on a little platform in the middle here, And that was it. It was almost like a geosphere. Have I made up something there? I feel like I've made up something, but I'm sure that explains roughly what I mean. Yeah, I think that's a better option. All of the slabs are gone, and I've replaced them with grass. We've also got jack-o'-lanterns with leaves on top of them to light up the place. Pond in the middle. Tree is looking cool. This is actually looking, yeah, it's looking nice, but there's still plenty of work left to do. I mean, I don't know. I guess bone mealing, adding leaves around, maybe having some pathways, almost adding in path blocks around this area, and then maybe even some fence posts. It's so difficult. I'm really, really bad at that sort of thing. I almost feel like also adding some taller bits of grass, so some areas like slightly hilly bits. This is much, much better, and I'm actually looking at this dirt here. You know what? I'm going to take it out because I want it to stay as dirt, so I think I'm actually going to replace these blocks of dirt that I've just removed with coarse dirt so that it never turns into grass, because I really like the texture that adds. But no, I'm happy with this place. I think Iskall will be proud of me here. So the build is now finished. I've actually just gone through and I've lit up all the areas that I possibly can. So now it's looking a little bit less dark. We've got coarse dirt in place. So that is going to... I haven't put a bed in here. The whole point... Give me a second. There we go. Little bed on our little deck. So now this build is actually finished. And we have now slept in it. This is now officially my house. We've spent our first night looking up at the stars and the underside of my gigantic storage system inside here. Okay, let's move on to the next project. But actually, before we do, there's something that I've been meaning to do for quite some time. Yeah. I mean, I've wanted to check the slime farm for a little while. I think that confirms it's been doing alright. Let's restock the slime shop. I know Iskall is meant to be doing this, but by the sounds of things, he's slacking a tiny bit. So hopefully this should keep the place stocked for at least a decent amount of time. So we've got one full one. I mean, do we have... Okay, so those have been sold. There's still a handful left that haven't been sold, but actually the slime... It's doing pretty well. I'm glad to see it's still doing well and slime balls are still being sold. This is good. Anyway, next thing that I want to work on is sort of brought on by Grian placing in this here. I mean, from what I can tell, I told him the other day that I think my mailroom is going to be in this area here. And by the looks of things, he's starting work on the actual tubes that are going to be sending the messages between the two bases. So it would be wise of me to actually get some form of room set up to receive those, and also it would fill in this gap and fill out our city a little bit so that we kind of know where we stand in terms of builds. We know where things are going. First idea hasn't worked out, so let's get back to it. After a few rebuilds and a few restructures, this is what I've come up with. So we've got kind of like a two building structure. It's quite small, but we've implemented once again the cyan terracotta. We've got a nice big window on the front. We've got some quartz dotted around, and we have this sort of open area. So this is actually how we get into the build. What I've decided is I'm going to try my best to make all of my builds really accessible with Elytra, because the chances are I'm going to be flying in. So I'm going to fly into here, and this is where the chests will be. So I guess we'll have one chest maybe here, and then one chest over here, and that's going to be our sending and receiving system. I had just about enough quartz to build this entire structure here. Just enough. So yeah, 3 slabs left. I've also had to go out and gather up a whole bunch of other resources and everything, but we've managed to get it built. The only thing that we don't have just yet is the floor, but I just want to see how this is looking in regards to the rest of the base. Now, you know what I have to do. You know what I have to do here. I have to go out and fly around, and I mean, it fits in. It's definitely a much smaller build than the other ones, but that was always going to be the case. How does it look? It does look cool. It needs to be brightened up massively, though. I don't actually know how to do that. How should I brighten it? Because there's no way... there's no way in which I can do this without... I mean, I suppose I could use white carpet on top of some sea lanterns. Maybe in the middle here. That could be the way to go, but I don't know if that will look any good. Yeah, just having the build lit up properly makes a massive, massive difference. I think also this area, I mean, I know I really appreciate what green has done with this place, but I think lighting this up would also be a good idea. And I imagine it would actually be quite simple. Just placing in something like this. That does the trick, and that should hopefully stop loads of mobs spawning on top of this build, because they have been causing... yeah, they've been causing me a few problems, let's just say. So now that that's done, and everything is kind of coming together quite nicely here, the base is starting to look cool, especially now that we've got some beacons going on. We have lots more going on in this area, and that's feeling good. Now, what I want to work on is this top section. Now, I have just run out of fireworks, so we're going to have to view this from the very bottom where you can barely see anything. But in the previous episode of Hermitcraft, I did a poll asking you if you preferred the ice around the edge of the disc, or if you preferred the cyan terracotta, and something like 70% of you, and there was a lot of votes. When I last looked, there was like over 60,000 votes. 70% of you said that you preferred the cyan instead of the ice, and I think I agree. I think it's just a cooler looking block. I think the ice, it just doesn't quite contrast with the build enough. Now, obviously, we do have ice on the inside here, and we have it on the inside of the power beam, but I think if we do turn this into an aquarium, then that's going to make a big difference. If we don't turn it into an aquarium, then there's a chance that we'll start mixing in some cyan inside the power beam and things, just adding a few darker blocks, just so it all kind of knits in together nicely. But, yeah, I think cyan terracotta is the way to go. So, I'm going to have to go out on a bit of a resource gathering mission. We're going to have to gather up a whole bunch of terracotta, and then we can replace all of the ice with the cyan. So, first things first, obviously, pickaxes need to be repaired. So, over to the Guardian farm we go. And then, of course, I'd be silly to not make use of the beacon that we have. I might as well do like a serious terracotta mining session, get tons upon tons of the stuff, so that I never need to do this again in the future. Okay, that's kind of my goal. So I've got myself some shulker boxes set up. I might actually bring some more so we can get plenty of terracotta so that we don't have to worry. You know what? Now that I think about it, I think this would look good in the form of a third-person time-lapse. Yeah, let's get to it. You know what? That didn't actually work out. I tried my best to record a time-lapse. I managed to somehow mess it up every single time. One time I was recording the wrong window, so that wasn't particularly very interesting. The other time I managed to record it with just this screen, with the time-lapse happening in the background. Not so great. And then I managed to actually move the camera the third time I tried it so that I wasn't actually pointing at where I was mining, and now my pickaxe has run out and I don't have any spares, so we don't even have that much terracotta. All in all, it was a pretty bad experience. Not brilliant at all. Anyway, I've got all of the terracotta, so now we can bring this back to my base, and yeah, we can get to work on this one. Now, I had a bunch of cactus green, but I have lost it. Where did I put that? Did I use all of it to make... okay, so there's my cyan dye. Okay, so this is good, this is good, this is good. And then the good news about Hermitcraft Season 6 is that we have a thing on the server, and I'm not 100%... I'm not the guy to explain it, but I know that in vanilla Minecraft, you can only dye terracotta, but in Hermitcraft Season 6, we can actually dye all types of terracotta, which means that that wasn't a big deal. So, now we have got loads of stuff, and also, we don't have to specifically mine out the massive areas of terracotta because they quickly disappear on large servers like this. I've already made a mess. Okay, let's go around the top. Thankfully, that was a fairly easy fix. So now I am back underneath, and I'm just in the process of taking out the ice and replacing it with our cyan things. And hello, that was very close. Okay, let's go and repair my pickaxe before I lose something that, yep, no, that's my perfect pickaxe. Efficiency 5, unbreaking. Yeah, we don't want to be losing that. How did I do that? So, well, not only did my elytra not activate, I'm in my bedroom, that's pretty cool, but not only did my elytra not activate, look what I crashed into. I had the whole ocean to choose from, the whole ocean, right? Endless space. And I land on this, where my beacon used to be. Ooh. You know what, while I'm over here, I think I should probably just repair everything else. It's probably not a bad idea. This first section has been fully completed, and it probably used maybe 5, maybe 6 stacks of cyan. Honestly, I've played way too much Minecraft today. I can't do any form of maths, but it's used a handful of stacks of the cyan terracotta. But I'm very interested to see how it actually looks now that we have both sides in. So this is how the build will actually look from this direction. And I have to say, yeah, no, I think I agree. The terracotta looks so much better. That looks so much cooler. It's also made me realise that I really need to fill in this gap, but I don't know what to do with it. This looks super cool. Well, thank you ever so much, Grian, for the suggestion, and thank you to everyone who participated in the poll, because that has helped out massively. And you know what? I think I'm going to finish up this episode by asking you, should I actually add in cyan terracotta into the power beam and start mixing in some slightly darker colours inside my base? Because everything is very bright. It could be good to start mixing all of that in. Alright, well, I'll leave that up to you. Let me know down in the comment section if I remember. I will put a poll on the screen, but, you know, yeah, I'm not exactly the best with that. But anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this episode of Hermitcraft. We got plenty of things done. I'm really happy with the progress that we've been making lately. If you have enjoyed, please sure to that like button. And if you really loved it, then make sure to subscribe. But thanks for watching, guys. This has been Mumbo, and I'm out. I'll see you later. Oh, and filming channel, you know what to do. Link on the end screen.